Hello there. I really hope that you are mastering how to get a perfect score on section 1 from the previous lectures. We're now going to go through one more example of how to apply the proper strategy to section 1. So make sure that you have your book in front of you. I really suggest that you go ahead and do your testing yourself first, and then you can check back to try to find out why you may have gotten the answer wrong. I'm going to give you the explanation along with giving the tricks and traps that they're using. In this section 1, we're really looking at multiple choice questions to start. And then after the multiple choice questions 1 through 6, we get to 7 through 10, which are fill the blank questions. Now, with multiple choice questions in any section, whether it's section 1, 2, or 3, or 4, you're dealing with using synonym language. That's what they're going to play around with. They're going to play around with using synonym language so that you're not able to recognize when the answer is being said. In addition, you always want to be aware with the multiple choice question that they are most likely going to say all the answer choices. So for example, with number 1, you're going to hear 10 a.m., 10:30, and 2. For number 4, you're going to hear museum, theater, and library. For number 5, it's the same way. You're going to hear information from all of the answer choices. This is the difference when it comes to the answer. The correct answer choice is connected to the keyword language of the question. So for example, for number 1, whatever that correct answer choice is, A, B, or C, is connected to begins at. Number 2, whatever the correct answer choice is, A, B, or C, is connected to what the film, Family Welcome, is about. Example for number 4, whatever answer choice is connected to what? 4 p.m. So you have to connect an answer choice to the keyword language in the question. That's why identifying the keyword language in the question is so important. Now, this strategy that I just told you, it applies to section 2, 3, and 4. The only difference is the English level becomes more difficult. By the time you get to section 3 or section 4 and you have a multiple choice question, the strategy doesn't change. It's the exact same strategy as we're doing right now in section 1. The only difference, questions are longer. Vocabulary is much more difficult. They talk more. But in terms of strategy and being able to connect answer choice to synonym language from keywords in the question, that remains the same. Okay, so for this one, I've highlighted the keywords that I'm going to be listening for. Begins at, is about, most of the free concerts, when do they take place? Where will the 4 p.m. Latin concert take place? What time does the boat race begin, or where does the boat race begin? Because we're dealing with places. And we have to listen about one of the boat race teams. What's going on with one of the teams? All right, so let's go ahead and listen. And I'm going to answer these questions now, and you can watch me go through the process.
Good morning, this is Burnham Tourist Office, Martin speaking.
Oh, hello. I saw a poster about free things to do in the area, and it said people should phone you for information. I'm coming to Burnham with my husband and 2 children for a few days on June the 27th, or possibly the 28th, and I'd like some ideas for things to do on the 29th.
Yes, of course. Okay. Then let's start with a couple of events especially for children. The Art Gallery is holding an event called Family Welcome that day, when there are activities and trails to use throughout the gallery.
That sounds interesting. What time does it start?
The gallery opens at 10 and the Family Welcome event runs from 10:30 until 2 o'clock. The gallery stays open until 5, and several times during the day they're going to show a short film that the gallery has produced. It demonstrates how ceramics are made, and there'll be equipment and materials for children to have a go themselves. Last time they ran the event there was a film about painting, which went down very well with the children. and they're now working on one about sculpture.
I like the sound of that. And what other events happen in Burnham?
Well, do you all enjoy listening to music?
Oh, yes.
Well, there are several free concerts taking place at different times, 1 or 2 in the morning, the majority at lunchtime and a couple in the evening, and they range from pop music to Latin American.
The Latin American could be fun. What time is that?
It's being repeated several times in different places. They're performing in the Central Library at 1 o'clock, then at 4 it's in the City Museum, and in the evening at 7:30 there's a longer concert in the theatre.
Right. I'll suggest that to the rest of the family.
Something else you might be interested in is the boat race along the river.
Oh, yes. Do tell me about that.
The race starts at Offord Marina to the north of Burnham and goes as far as Summer Pool. The best place to watch it from is Charlesworth Bridge, though that does get rather crowded.
And who's taking part?
Well, local boat clubs, but the standard is very high. One of them came first in the West of England Regional Championship in May this year. It was the first time a team from Burnham has won. It means that next year they'll be representing the region in the National Championship.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Now, I've heard something about Paxton Nature Reserve. It's a good place for spotting unusual birds, isn't it?
That's right, throughout the year. There is a lake there as well as a river, and they provide a very attractive habitat. So it's a good idea to bring binoculars if you have them. And just at the moment you can see various flowers that are pretty unusual. The soil at Paxton isn't very common. They're looking good right now.
Right. My husband will be particularly interested in that.
And there's going to be a talk and slideshow about mushrooms, and you'll be able to go out and pick some afterwards and study the different varieties.
Uh-huh. And is it possible for children to swim in the river?
Yes, part of it has been fenced off to make it safe for children to swim in. It's very shallow and there's a lifeguard on duty whenever it's open. The lake is too deep, so swimming isn't allowed there.
OK, we must remember to bring their swimming things in case we go to Paxton. How long does it take to get there by car from Burnham?
About 20 minutes, but parking is very limited, so it's usually much easier to go by bus, and it takes about the same time.
Right. Well, I'll discuss the options with the rest of the family. Thanks very much for all your help.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the answers. Number 1, you should have B. The person said it runs from 10:30. Runs from is a paraphrasing of begins at. So the answer is 10:30. They said that the gallery opens at 10, but they want to know what time does the family welcome event begin. Right? What time does the family welcome event begin? And they said it begins or runs from 10:30 to 2 p.m. 2 p.m. is the closing time. So as I told you, they're going to say all of the answer choices, but only one of them is connected to begins at. Number 2, the answer is C, ceramics. It demonstrates is equivalent to saying is about. So they said it demonstrates ceramics. That means it is about ceramics. They said last time it was about painting. So that's the last time, not now. They said they're working on a sculpture. That's the future, not now. Number 3, the answer is B. Majority equals most. They said the majority are at lunchtime. Number 4, the answer is museum. As I told you, they're going to say all the answer choices. Library, 1 p.m. 4 in the City Museum, 7:30 in the theater. Again, listening to the answer choice that's connected to the keyword language. That is the exact same strategy in section 2, 3, and 4 when it comes to a multiple choice question. The reason why it seems more difficult to you is because the level of English increases. Number 5 is C. Starts at equals begins. It starts at the offered marina. Now, again, they're going to say all the answer choices. Goes as far as the pool. You can watch from the bridge, but the question is, where does it begin? It starts at the offered marina. And then number 6 is they said one came in first in the regional championships of May this year. So the answer choice that connects to that is A. Won a regional competition earlier this year. They said it was the first win, so it can't be C, because C says what? Several. Now they also said next year they will go to national. So it can't be B because it said has represented. And next year will be their first time at national. So you have to be able to, whenever you have a multiple choice question, you have to be able to connect the answer choice to the keyword language in the question. You're not just listening for which one do I hear. They're going to say all of the answer choices. Now, for the fill the blank questions, numbers 7 through 9 were a test of your ability to hear the plural S. Because if you did not put an S on birds, flowers, and mushrooms, if you didn't put an S on birds, put an S on flowers, put an S on mushrooms, your answer is incorrect. They are testing. They're deliberately here testing you and giving you an opportunity to actually practice being able to recognize when a plural S is being used. The students that can recognize that got these correct. The students that cannot recognize when they're saying a plural S or not, you're going to get those marked wrong. So you have to be able to pick up on that. Number 7, unusual equals rare. Throughout equals all year. Number 8, they played around with word order. The first they said various, which equals certain. Flowers are unusual, right? So they switched up the word order of flowers and unusual. Number 9, talk and slideshow about equals learn about mushrooms. Then they said you can pick some. Pick is a synonym for collect. Some is a reference to mushrooms. Number 10 is a confirmation reference trap. The woman asks if you can swim in the river. The man confirms it. He says part of it, referring back to the river, is fenced off, which is synonym for made suitable. So you really get to understand right from the beginning with section 1 that this is an English test. It is an English test. So I'll go ahead and play it again so that you can now listen for these answer choices in connection with the traps that I just pointed out to you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now because that's what you have to do to really, really be successful. That's what you're going to have to do. So I will go ahead and play that for you right now.
Good morning, this is Burnham Tourist Office, Martin speaking.
Oh, hello. I saw a poster about free things to do in the area, and it said people should phone you for information. I'm coming to Burnham with my husband and 2 children for a few days on June the 27th, or possibly the 28th, and I'd like some ideas for things to do on the 29th.
Yes, of course. OK. Then let's start with a couple of events especially for children. The Art Gallery is holding an event called Family Welcome that day, when there are activities and trails to use throughout the gallery.
That sounds interesting. What time does it start?
The gallery opens at 10 and the Family Welcome event runs from 10:30 until 2 o'clock. The gallery stays open until 5, and several times during the day they're going to show a short film that the gallery has produced. It demonstrates how ceramics are made, and there'll be equipment and materials for children to have a go themselves. Last time they ran the event there was a film about painting, which went down very well with the children. and they're now working on one about sculpture.
I like the sound of that. And what other events happen in Burnham?
Well, do you all enjoy listening to music?
Oh, yes.
Well, there are several free concerts taking place at different times, 1 or 2 in the morning, the majority at lunchtime and a couple in the evening, and they range from pop music to Latin American.
The Latin American could be fun. What time is that?
It's being repeated several times in different places. They're performing in the Central Library at 1 o'clock, then at 4 it's in the City Museum, and in the evening at 7:30 there's a longer concert in the theatre.
Right. I'll suggest that to the rest of the family.
Something else you might be interested in is the boat race along the river.
Oh, yes. Do tell me about that.
The race starts at Offord Marina to the north of Burnham and goes as far as Summer Pool. The best place to watch it from is Charlesworth Bridge, though that does get rather crowded.
And who's taking part?
Well, local boat clubs, but the standard is very high. One of them came first in the West of England Regional Championship in May this year. It was the first time a team from Burnham has won. It means that next year they'll be representing the region in the National Championship.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Now, I've heard something about Paxton Nature Reserve. It's a good place for spotting unusual birds, isn't it?
That's right, throughout the year. There is a lake there as well as a river, and they provide a very attractive habitat. So it's a good idea to bring binoculars if you have them. And just at the moment you can see various flowers that are pretty unusual. The soil at Paxton isn't very common. They're looking good right now.
Right. My husband will be particularly interested in that.
And there's going to be a talk and slideshow about mushrooms, and you'll be able to go out and pick some afterwards and study the different varieties.
Uh-huh. And is it possible for children to swim in the river?
Yes, part of it has been fenced off to make it safe for children to swim in. It's very shallow and there's a lifeguard on duty whenever it's open. The lake is too deep, so swimming isn't allowed there.
OK, we must remember to bring their swimming things in case we go to Paxton. How long does it take to get there by car from Burnham?
About 20 minutes, but parking is very limited, so it's usually much easier to go by bus, and it takes about the same time.
Right. Well, I'll discuss the options with the rest of the family. Thanks very much for all your help.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, so you had a chance to hear it again and also be able to listen for those tricks and traps that I pointed out to you. On number 10, they also said that it would be made safe. When they fenced it off, that it would make it safe, which is also more synonym language for being made suitable. And they mentioned the word lake, L-A-K-E, but they said the lake was what? Dangerous. And dangerous is the opposite of being suitable. So you could not have put lake as an answer choice. All right, so thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. And I hope you now know exactly what to do for Section 1. Take care. Hello there, and welcome to this next assignment. In this next assignment, you're going to be actually participating in a IELTS listening spelling test. As you know, on the IELTS listening, in most likely in Section 1, they're going to sometimes ask you to either write a number that they say or to spell out a name that is said. And so what we're going to do here is really give you an opportunity to practice your spelling. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to read the name or say the number as they would on the exam. I'm going to give you a few seconds to write out the name, and then afterwards you'll see the answer right away, and then I'm going to go to the next one. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this is IELTS listening, spelling practice, set number one. Number one, could you please give me your phone number? Sure. My number is 219-442-9785. Okay, and there we have the answer right there. I hope you got that one correct. Let's move on to number two. Yes, could you please tell me your last name? My last name is Cawley. Could you spell that, please? Sure. That's Cawley. Cawley. Okay, and there's the answer right there. Now number three. Yes, I'm having trouble spelling your first name. Could you please spell that out for me? Sure, my first name is Alexandria. That's Alexandria. Alexandria. Okay, number four. Yes, sir. To fill out the form, I'll please need your last name. My last name is Worthington. Could you spell that, please? Sure. It's Worthington. Worthington. Number five. Could you please tell us again what city you live in? Sure. That's Palisades. Yes. Would you mind spelling that? Absolutely. Pallillides. Palisades. Okay, number six. Yes, I'll be happy to spell my last name. My name again is Grantingham. That's Grantingham. Grantingham. All right, good job. I hope this practice was really, really helpful for you. We're going to move on to the next set. Okay, IELTS listening spelling practice, set number two. Number seven. Could you please spell your last name? Sure, that's Harries. 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 Okay, now number 8. Sure, no problem. My last name is Kinchley. Could you please spell that? Sure, that's Kynchley. Kinchley. Number 9. Could you please tell me your instructor's name? Yes, his last name is Campbell. Would you spell that, please? Sure, that's Campbell. Number 10. May I have your credit card number, please? Sure, one moment. My number is 3303-4286-7734-5768. Okay, there's number 10. Now moving on to number 11. Would you please spell your mother's last name? Yes, her name is different than mine. Her last name is Lathrop. That's Lathrop. Lathrop. Number 12. Okay, one last piece of business. We're going to need your family name. Yes, my family name is Reimer. I don't want to make a mistake. Could you please spell that? Sure, that's Reimer. Okay, so I hope right now you're hitting 100% on your spelling of names and writing of numbers. We're going to move on to our last practice set, which is practice set number 3. Okay, IELTS listening spelling practice set number 3. Number 13. Yes, to help you more, I'm going to need your account number. Would you please give that to us? Sure, my account number is 016-74-455-329. Okay, number 14. Yes, my full name is Harold Smythe. Smythe, that's a little unusual for me. Would you mind spelling that, please? Yes, my last name is spelled Smythe. Number 15. Yes, I'm going to need a phone number for us to be able to contact you. Okay, my best number is 202-720-1061. Okay, number 15. Yes, could you please tell us your last name? My last name is Bartholomew. Would you please spell that? Sure. That's Bartholomew. Bartholomew. Number 16. Okay, now to complete your account, we're going to need your phone number. Could you please let us know what that is? Sure. My phone number is 202-720-1061. All right, number 17. Yes, sir. To complete the form, we're going to need your name. My name is William Wormley. Could you please spell that last name? Sure. That's Wormley. Wormley. Yes, sir. Number 18. Number 18. Yes, sir. To complete your travel plans for the ticket, we're going to need your last name. Yes, my last name is Quigley. Wow, could you please spell that? Sure. That's Quigley. Quigley. Okay, thank you very much for participating in this IELTS listening spelling test. I hope that was really helpful in terms of your preparation. If you need to, you can take the test again after a few weeks and see how you do. Keep working hard, keep pushing yourself, and as always, I'm here to answer any question that you may have. Take care. Talk to you soon. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be working on something really exciting and new that's being added to the course. I get asked all the time how to do well on the IELTS listening exam, and that's really related to your ability to understand paraphrasing and also recognize synonyms. And so today we're going to have a quiz, and it's going to specifically help you work on recognizing, paraphrasing, and hearing synonyms. So let's go ahead and get started. It is very important that you're able to really enhance your skills dealing with paraphrasing and synonyms. When it comes to multiple choice questions on the IELTS listening, you have to really be able to manage paraphrasing and synonyms. All versions of the multiple choice questions are designed by design to test paraphrasing and synonyms. This is the most important skill on the IELTS listening, along with your ability to simultaneously listen and answer questions at the same time. Now, when it comes to fill the blank questions, these are more dependent on recognizing synonyms than paraphrasing. Synonyms is more dealing with one word or two words that mean this, that have the same meaning, and paraphrasing is more where you have several words that have the same meaning. Now, with fill the blank questions, they're going to use synonyms that are for words that are before and after the blank line. So if you can hear that synonym, then you're going to hear the answer choice connected to it. For the multiple choice questions, you're going to hear them say the question keywords, and then they're going to say the answer. Your job is to pick which one of the answer choices actually is a paraphrase for what they said. So this is really, really important. For the overall exam, it's all about synonyms and paraphrasing. For the reading section, you have to be able to skim and scan for synonyms, and then you have to be able to read and choose answer choices that are paraphrasing of what they have in the passage. For the speaking section and the writing section, you have to be able to use synonyms and paraphrasing. The better you use them, the higher score that you're going to have. So in terms of the quiz instructions, you're going to need paper and pencil, because you're going to have to write down the synonym or paraphrase that you hear. Now, I want you to create a two-sided table on your piece of paper. And on the left side, you can put the question keywords, and on the right side, you're going to write down the paraphrase or synonym that you hear of those question keywords. Now, for the most part, the questions and answers are going in order. So for question number 1, you're going to hear the paraphrase for question number 1 first. Maybe a couple of times they may be mixed up in order, so just be aware of that. But for the most part, I have them going in order. Now, you only want to listen once, but it is okay to stop and start the lecture, because you have to have time to write down the paraphrase that they say or write down the synonym word that they say. And so it's perfectly fine if you need to stop and write that word down. Now, you know on the real exam you cannot do that. You cannot stop and start. But we're working on a specific skill here, right? We're not doing a part of the exam. We're working on the skill of paraphrasing. And so if that's necessary, it's okay for you to do that. Now, before we get started, I want to explain to you how I created these questions, because I want you to have the ability to do it yourself. So, for example, on the left side, you see 4 questions. And these are fill-the-blank questions. And for 27, you see that the words before the blank line are demanded a great deal. For number 28, improved. For 29, the course was structured. And for 30, meeting other students. So I know that when they're having a conversation or when they're having a short talk, you're going to hear a synonym for demanded a great deal. The answer choice will be directly connected to that language. So if you hear the synonym or hear the paraphrase, you hear the answer. It's very, very easy if you can do that. So when you're creating tables on your own, it looks like this. On the left side, you put the keywords: demanded a great deal, improved, the course was structured, and enjoyed meeting other students. And then on the right side, you will put the answers for the different for the paraphrasing or the synonym. So when you hear the paraphrasing of demanded a great deal, you write it on the right-hand side of the paper that you have in front of you. Now, like I said, you don't have to write down the question keywords on your paper because you can see them right here. But if you want to, that's perfectly fine. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to question number 1, or quiz number 1. The purpose of this quiz is to test your ability to recognize synonym language. We are not answering any questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question words. That's what we're doing. So for this one, you want to listen for and write down the paraphrase of demanded a great deal, improved, the course was structured, and enjoyed meeting other students. I'm going to go ahead and start the audio now.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, did you find it hard studying with the Open University?
You mean because you're studying on your own most of the time? Well, it took me a while to get used to it. I found I needed to maintain a high level of motivation because it's so different from school. There's no one saying, "Why haven't you written your assignment yet?" and that sort of thing.
Oh, dear.
You'll learn it, Paul. Another thing was that I got very good at time management because I had to fit time for studying round a full-time job.
Well, I'm hoping to change to working part-time, so that'll help.
What makes it easier is that the degree is made up of modules, so you can take time off between them if you need to. It isn't like a traditional 3- or 4-year course where you've got to do the whole thing of it in one go.
Oh, that's good, because I'd like to spend 6 months traveling next year.
It's all right for some. Then, even though you're mostly studying at home, remember you've got tutors to help you, and from time to time there are summer schools. They usually last a week. They're great, because you meet all the other people struggling with the same things as you. I've made some really good friends that way.
Sounds good. So how do I apply?
All right, let's look at the answer choices. So for number 1, maintain a high level. Number 2, for improved, got very good at. For number 3, the course was structured, and you put degree made up of. Now also for number 3, you could have put, the woman said with the course, you've got to do it all in one go. And so saying you've got to do it all in one go is also another way of saying how the course was structured. And then for number 4, the question keywords were enjoy meeting other students, and then the audio similar words were made good friends. So all the answer choices are connected to those similar words. If you can hear the similar words, you hear the answer choices connected right there. That's the skill we're working on, everybody. That's what's required of you to be able to do. Let's move on to quiz number 2. The purpose of the quiz is to test your ability to recognize synonym language. Keep in mind, our focus is on paraphrasing and synonyms, not answering questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question keywords. Now on this one, we're working on recognizing will not do, will do, or might do, because for some of the questions, some of the multiple choice questions, you have to do something like this. You'll see in the box the words will not do, might do, and will do. And then when they're having the conversation, they'll mention different things like media studies, and the person says, I will not do it. Now, they're not going to say, I will not do it. They're going to say words that have the same meaning as will not do. So we already know the answer. When they talk about media studies, the person is going to say they will not do it, but they're going to say a paraphrase or synonym of will not do. Your job is to write down that paraphrase or synonym for will not do. When they mention women in power, they're going to say they will do it. Your job is to write down the synonym or paraphrase for will do. Culture and society, he said he might do it. Write down the language that means the same as might do. Okay, you got it? All right, let's go ahead and get started.
You will hear a communication studies student talking to his tutor about optional courses for the next semester.
Come in. Oh, hello, Jack. Have a seat. Right. You said you wanted to see me to talk about your options next semester?
That's right. We have to decide by the end of next week. Really, I'd like to do all 5 options, but we have to choose 2, don't we?
Yes, but the choice depends on your major, to some extent. You're majoring in communication studies, aren't you?
That's right.
So, for example, the media studies option will cover quite a lot of the same area you did in the core module on mass communications this semester, the development of the media through the last 2 centuries in relation to political and social issues.
Well, that was interesting, but I've decided I'd rather do something completely new. There's a women's studies option, isn't there?
Yes, Women and Power. Again, it has a historical focus. It aims to contextualize women's studies by looking at the legal and social situation in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
So it would be useful if I intended to specialize in women's studies, but I'm not sure I do actually.
Well, it might still be useful to give you an idea of the issues involved. It's taught by Dr. Steed.
Oh, really? I'll sign up for that then. What about the option on culture and society?
That addresses the historical debate on the place of culture since the Industrial Revolution in Britain.
So a historical focus again?
Do I get the message you're not so keen on history?
Well, it's just that we seem to have done quite a lot this semester. Anyway, I'll think about that one.
If you're interested in a course focusing on current issues, there's the option on identity and popular culture. That approaches the subject through things like contemporary film, adverts, soap operas, and so on.
That sounds interesting. Can you tell me who runs it?
Well, it's normally Dr. Stevens, but he's on sabbatical next semester, so I'm not sure who'll be running it. It should be decided by next week, though.
Right. Well, I might wait until then to decide. And the last option is Introduction to Cultural Theory, isn't it? I'm quite interested in that too. I was talking to one of the second-year students, and she said it was really useful. It made a lot of things fall into place.
Yes, but in fact, in your major, you'll have covered a lot of that already in Communications 102. So that might be less useful than some of the others.
Oh, I'll forget about that one then.
Now, while you're here, we could also discuss how you're getting on with your core module assignment.
All right, let's go ahead and go over the answer choices. So for will not do, he said, I've decided I would rather do something completely new. For will do, he said, I'll sign up for that. For might do, you should have written down, I'll think about that one. For maybe will do, that's the easiest one. He said, I might wait to decide. And for will not do, you should have written down, I'll forget about that one. So that's the paraphrasing and that you should have written down for those question keywords. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward to quiz number 3. All right, quiz 3. The purpose is to test your ability to recognize synonym language and paraphrasing. We're not working on answering any questions. Your only job is to hear and write down the synonym or paraphrase of the question keywords. Now, as I've said, it's okay to stop the lecture, press the space bar on your computer if you want to, and write down the synonym or paraphrase that you hear. All right, let's get started. So for number 1, the question keywords is in a rural area. For number 2, only opened recently. For number 3, offers facilities for business functions. For number 4, arranging to construct. And for number 5, you're listening for a synonym or paraphrase of incomplete. All right, so let's go ahead and start the audio.
You will hear a man talking to an official at a tourist information office.
Can I help you?
Yes, I was wanting somewhere to stay for a few days, a 4 or 5-star hotel. Can you tell me something about the possibilities?
Okay, right. Well, there are 5 hotels that might interest you. Were you wanting a city centre location, or would you be interested in something a bit further out?
Well, I do have a car, so I could go for either.
Well, there are 2 central hotels in the range you're looking for. There's Carlton House and the Imperial. They're both near the main square, but if you've got your own transport, you might be interested in the Royal Oak. That's out in the country, about 10 kilometres away. Very peaceful. Then there's the Bridge Hotel and the Majestic. They're both in town, but not in the centre. They're out on the airport road.
That might be a bit far out, actually. Okay, now the other 2 you mentioned in the city centre. Can you tell me a bit about them?
Well, they're both excellent hotels. If you want something with a bit of character, Carlton House is quite unusual. It's a very old building that was originally a large private house. It was bought by the Vannies chain, and they completely refurbished it. They took their first guests just a few months ago, but it's already got an excellent reputation. That's a 5-star hotel. Or there's the Imperial, which is a much more modern building. That also has its own gym, and it also has internet connection and meeting rooms. It's used for conferences and corporate events as well as private guests. That's 5-star as well.
Does it have a swimming pool as well as a gym?
No, the Royal Oak has an outdoor pool, which is lovely in the summer, but the only hotel with an indoor pool is the Bridge Hotel. It doesn't have a gym, though. The Majestic is planning to build a swimming pool and a fitness centre, but it's not finished yet.
I see. Well, I think I'll probably go for one of the city centre hotels.
Okay, let's go ahead and go over the answer choices now. So, is in a rural area. The audio similar words are out in the country. Only opened recently. The audio similar words were they took in their first guest just a few months ago. Number 3, offers facilities for business and functions. You could have written down a couple of things, but internet connection, meeting rooms, conferences, corporate, all of that relates to facilities for business functions. For number 4, arranging to construct, that relates to planning to build. And number 5, incomplete, the audio similar words were not finished yet. So what I'm trying to do here, everybody, is start getting you to train your ear to hear paraphrasing and synonyms. Right? If you heard these synonyms, then you actually heard all the answer choices for this one. Because the answer for number 1, the correct answer choice of A, B, and C is the answer choice that says out in the country. Right? So it's important for you to be able to do this, to recognize paraphrasing and synonyms. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break, and then I want you to go ahead and move to quiz B, which is the second part, and we're going to have more of these paraphrasing and synonyms quiz to really help you understand that. We hope that this exercise has been really, really helpful for you. As I said, we're working on paraphrasing and synonyms, and we're going to move into IELTS listening, working on multiple choice questions, part 2. And again, we're working on the same thing now, quizzes. We're working on quizzes for paraphrasing and synonyms, not answering questions. And actually, it's going to cover more than just multiple choice questions. It's going to cover also the fill-the-blank questions for paraphrasing and synonyms. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you have